Hi, yo, what's happening? Um, yeah, this video has taken me a while to get out. Since it's quite a long game, it's kind of just taken me some time to, well, obviously get through the game and to just think about exactly what to talk about in the video. And plus, there's a lot to talk about with this game as well. And I wanted to make sure that I thought about what I wanted to bring up and what I thought isn't as important, since, well, if we end up talking about everything, we're gonna be here for hours. And yeah, I already feel like this could be quite a long video anyway. So yeah. I will be talking about the story first, so if you don't want any spoilers, I will put a timestamp up on screen if you want to skip that. But yeah, let's get into it. I'm just gonna say it now. I honestly think that the story is probably the weakest part of the whole game. But I don't really think that says a whole lot, since I think everything else is just so good that even a good and engaging story like this one is still the weakest part of it. Like I said earlier, this is quite a long game. It took me around 40 hours, give or take, to get through it. And that was me basically mainlining the whole story. So I'm only really going to be talking about the main plot points and, well, the more important things. So early in the game, you're introduced to a group of kids, which will end up being a few of the main characters throughout the whole game, and them being Clive, Joshua, and Jill. Joshua is probably the most important out of them three, since he's what the game calls a dominant, or more specifically, a dominant of Phoenix. How would I explain it? So basically, there are some people that can turn into these things called icons, which are like these huge titans or creatures or whatever. And there's different there are different icons, and they each would have different abilities like fire, ice, armor, whatever. But yeah, basically think of Attack on Titan. Pretty much similar to them. But yeah, anyway, Joshua is basically one of them, and his older brother Clive is the character you play as, by the way, and he's pretty much his bodyguard. So yeah, he's pretty much there just to protect Joshua at all costs, really. But yeah, the town or village or whatever it is that they live, or whatever you call it, ends up getting attacked. And to cut a long story short, Joshua sees his dad getting killed, and that obviously angers him, obviously, which makes him turn into his icon, which is the Phoenix, and ends up going ballistic, like you would. Suddenly, out of nowhere, there does appear another icon, and it starts to fight Joshua, which leads to this huge boss fight, right? And it seems like it killed him. It seemed like it killed Joshua, and and Clive is obviously devastated by that, since, well, it's his brother, and it was his job to protect him. But yeah, we end up jumping forward in time by quite a few years. Clive is now a full-grown adult, and he is on this personal mission to seek out revenge on whoever killed his brother, and he's been trying to find them for God knows how many years. Again, I do want to say I'm going to be skipping large parts of the game since there is too much to talk about, and I only want to bring up the big plot points, to be honest. We end up finding Jill, out of all people, who is being held captive by this random group. I can't quite remember who they were, to be honest. Again, this was so long ago. It was so long ago into the game that I can't quite remember what the name of this group was. But yeah, we take out the people that had her. Since it also turns out that she also has an icon, and has all these powers that one would have, and obviously the group that had her wanted to use her because of that. Because of her powers, they wanted to use that against other armies, use her as a weapon. But yeah, obviously we find she ends up joining us. She ends up helping us out, like. But yeah, along the way we do meet this guy called Sid. He has this hideout for people who are quote unquote branded. Like you see throughout the footage, there's some people would have these marks on their face. Those people are branded. But yeah, branded are people who are basically outcasts and are looked down on by the world pretty much. And since that's what they are, Sid decided to make this hideout so these people could at least try to live a normal life, really, like have a normal life there. Sid wanted to help out as well, so Clive ends up joining him at the hideout and try to help. And obviously, Clive wanted to try and help them as well, since you can see he's one of them. But yeah, obviously we meet a load of different people throughout the game, so I'm not going to bring them all up. But I do want to mention one now, and that one is Clive's uncle. He is such a funny dude. He does so much stupid shit throughout the whole game that you just can't help but love the dude. He's that goofy. Also, the uncle thought that Clive was dead, and because of that, I'm kind of assuming everyone else Clive knew as well thinks he's dead or thought he was dead. I can't remember exactly how or why they thought he was dead, but I think he might have disappeared after Josh died, and yeah, I think he just disappeared when he died, and I think everyone just assumed that he died as well. But yeah, anyway, for some time we have been seeing this cloaked figure follow Clive around. Obviously, we don't know who it is, but Clive reckons that it's the person that killed his brother, and that the person that he's been hunting this whole time. But yeah, plot twist, it's actually Joshua. Somehow he survived. He's not dead. I don't know how, but he's alive. He is somehow alive. We don't know where he's been this whole time, but it's honestly really sweet to see them two reunite again. And it's really weird to kind of like think that these two have kind of been out there and not, and for us not, for Clive to not necessarily know that he's still alive. But yeah, now that we've found out Joshua is alive, the rest of the game's story changes quite a bit. You got to bear in mind at this point there's still 10, 15, maybe even 20 hours left of the game. It sort of becomes this uprising story for people who are branded, just like Clive. and for them to be seen as equals. You end up attacking these important places around the world where crystals are, and are and to get rid of like other icons, basically. To cut a long story short, you end up fighting this god who has been controlling fate and obviously wanted things to be the way they are. Well, in other words, fate. It ends up being a very, very long boss fight, and spoiler, we win. We win the fight, but at the very large cost of both Clive and Joshua. They end up dying, unfortunately. They didn't die in vain, though. They changed the world, and they changed fate as well. But my God, did their deaths hurt? Fuck it, they hurt, man. I did stream this game, so when that happened, I just saw everyone in chat just being like, "What the fuck? No, how could they do this? Like, why do they do this?" I even remember one of my mods just saying, "Great, now I'm depressed." I was like, "Yeah, I feel you, man." But yeah, it was heartbreaking to see both of them just dying. Like, just trying to make a better life for people. Basically, it was really heartbreaking to see that. But yeah, then something happens after that. At the very end of the game, there comes this other scene. I think it's like after the credits, it's like a post-credit scene. There is this scene at the very end of the game that shows this book titled Final Fantasy, and it's written none other than Joshua. So what I think it's hinting at is that this whole story was just a book, and none of it actually happened. Great, now in the middle of recording this, there happens to be a thunderstorm, or what it sounds like to be a thunderstorm. So I'm going to try and wrap this up a bit quicker than what I intended. But yeah, if you hear that, there's not much I can do. I'm sorry. But yeah, anyway, what was I saying? But yeah, usually endings like that, where it seems that everything is just a dream or whatever, I'm not really a fan of those kind of endings. I don't know how to really explain it, but yeah, I'm not usually a big fan of those types of endings. But in all honesty, I don't think it has I do think it has a really good story. It has some really great moments, great characters, great locations, and whatever. It has it all really, but I feel that they shouldn't have ended the game with "it's just a story" trope, and the ending would have hit harder if that wasn't there. But that's just what I think on that, and I don't think that it completely takes away from the rest of the game, to be honest. But yeah, I'm gonna move on to the next part of the game, or the next section. So yeah, let's talk about that. So now I want to bring up probably the best part about the entire game, that being the boss fights. And yeah, there's quite a lot of boss fights here. But my God, they are so good. They are so good in this game. I wouldn't say they're difficult, to be honest, but they're always a lot of fun. Every single one of them is a lot of fun. Like I always try to use all like my different like powers and icons that I had, just so I can defeat them, just so I can use against each boss. Half of them were like really cinematic as well. Like they felt like they were these huge, massive boss fights between like two very powerful people or two very powerful icons, and it was so much fun. It was so good. Like, there's nothing better than being in a huge boss battle between two very powerful people or icons. It's nothing better than that. Like, but also these boss fights were fucking long. Jesus, like, oh, really long. Some of them, like, some of them took me like 40, 50 minutes. Sometimes, so even an hour if I remember right. Which is honestly, it's so much longer than what I'm used to. I'm used to boss fights being like 20 minutes at most, really. 30 if I'm pushing it, but Jesus, it's a lot. It's so much, man. They are so long sometimes. Like with every game like this, you can upgrade your gear. You can get stronger weapons. You can get you got a skill tree for your icons and all around better equipment to make things easier for you. Again, that's sort of like with most games like this, you do have sort of like little shops or whatever, like around like your hub or whatever, if that makes sense. Personally, a lot of it didn't really matter too much, since I only really focused on getting stuff that did more damage. Everything else didn't necessarily feel like I needed to do much with or get. To be fair, I should probably go back and focus on getting that stuff as well. But like, in all honesty, like, I didn't really bother changing out much apart from the stuff that gave you more damage or whatever. That's it. I don't know. I kind of felt like that it wasn't as big of a thing as some other stuff. But yeah, but to be fair, I think a lot of the gameplay does come down to timing. Like when, like with most most games like this, getting like a perfect dodge or knowing when to use your abilities against a boss or icons or whatever, or when to use your when to only use your basic attacks. It's all down to just doing shit at the right time. Because I think it's like a lot of games like this kind of comes down to, yeah, you just got to know the rhythm of these boss fights. You kind of got to get used to doing them. But yeah, I want to keep these parts fairly short, and I don't want the video to be too long, to be honest. But yeah, the gameplay overall was honestly way too good. You could tell a lot of really talented people were working on this game, and it really showed with how good the gameplay was. Because oh my god, it was so good to play. It's so fun to play. I kind of want to go back to it to replay it, just so I can play the boss fights again, just so I can maybe try and do things a little bit differently. But you know, but you know, that's kind of what I want to do. Like when recording this, the Final Fantasy VII remake, the second part of it, got announced like a couple of days ago, and yeah, I've been wanting to kind of go back to play that, so to play the first one, so I can kind of get ready for basically part two. So I might go back and play that, maybe make a video. But to be honest, this one's taken me ages to get through. So I might just play it on my own time. Now I'm going to move on to the next part. So I'm going to talk about like visuals and the performance side of things. So let's talk about it. For the performance of the game, there's not a whole lot to really say or talk about, since it just ran really, really well, to be honest. It was just really smooth. And I didn't come across a single problem throughout my entire time playing the game. Like, not a single one. No frame rate drops, no times that were glitching, no bugs, nothing. I didn't come across anything. I did hear some people say that apparently their PlayStation 5s were overheating while playing the game, especially during the boss fights. Again, I didn't experience this once, but I might have just been lucky with that. But that was, I was seeing like enough people say bring that up for me to kind of think about it. But yeah, quite a lot of people did mention that, but again, I didn't experience a single problem with it. No, not a single thing. Wasn't a single time I experienced any problems, but yeah. But visually, with the visuals of this game, it looks amazing. It looks so good, man. Everything from the landscapes to the character models to the enemy design to just about everything really it's high quality. Like it honestly looks really fucking good, man. Again, you can tell a lot of really talented people worked in this game to make it look as good as it does. Because Jesus Christ, you can tell there's a lot of talent here. The one and only thing that I did notice being a little weird or goofy was outside of cutscenes, the characters' mouth movements were not in sync with what they were saying, and it's quite obvious. And it's quite obvious as well. Like at times, it almost seems a bit robotic and unnatural. Like it's not exactly a deal breaker. Like it's obviously not, because it's not necessarily that big of a deal. But yeah, but it was just a bit funny and kind of jarring to see sometimes. Since everything else looks absolutely amazing, and then randomly see some weird facial animations, but it's not the end of the world. It's like one tiny problem through in something that otherwise is just a great game. But again, it's not that big of a deal. It's all right. It's I can't really complain about it. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say since I don't want to drag out this video too much. I don't really want this video to be too long, to be honest. I don't want it to drag out too much. But yeah, I feel like if you can, you really should get this game, since you can sink hours into it and you get so much fun out of it. Like, I would highly recommend it. I honestly would recommend anyone to play it. It's worth what I paid for it, and I would recommend it to anyone who has the slightest interest in Final Fantasy or even the slightest interest in any of these types of games. I would recommend anyone to get it. I think as of right now, it's exclusive to PlayStation. I think it is exclusive to PS5, but I do think it's coming to PC at some point. I'm pretty sure I remember that being the case. But yeah, if you can, I'd recommend getting it. Obviously, only if you want to, only if you got interest in it. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. So yeah, if you made it this far, obviously like, subscribe, and yeah, check out the links in the description, because again, I've got music, I've got Twitch I stream on, and you know what, let's say all the usual stuff you hear YouTubers love to plug. And yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.